Hello and welcome to Discovering Grayslake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grayslake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents. And recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grayslake Rehabilitation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grayslake. I'm usually recording from Agora, co-working on the corner of Center and Atkinson, but today I had this special opportunity to actually be in a sound studio. Does it sound better? Greg, do you think it sounds better?
I hope so.
All right, so I'm going to introduce, this is Greg Henkin. I say Henkin, correct?
Yep.
Henkin or Henkin?
Yeah, both.
Both.
Yeah, I'm good.
So, I've been looking to have you on the show, and we were at the whiskey tasting at the Vine the other night. He was intoxicated and begged me.
Oh, that's exactly how I remember it.
Does the story go that way?
Yeah. I'm sure all the witnesses there will back it up.
Yes, I actually walked up and you were talking with Nick from Andy's Records. And I've heard some rumors about you around town, so we're here to clarify those rumors. We were just talking about how we should have one.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, there'll be no dirt unveiled today, folks.
Yeah.
So fun to be down here. Your recording studio here is fantastic.
Thank you.
So why don't we just start off and tell everybody exactly what you do and why you have all of this cool shit here.
Sure. I teach music, and I used to work at a local guitar store and ended up eventually being kind of sent out on my own. And in that process...
That was a very nice way of saying that, by the way.
Yeah. It's all got to be diplomatic.
PC, sorry to interrupt you.
No, all good. So I always had a wonderful guitar teacher who supported me well beyond what kind of like a normal musical journey might be. He helped me get into a band. He came to all my shows. He was one of my best friends. And I kind of wanted to essentially create that kind of atmosphere for other students. Unfortunately, he ended up passing away. And before he passed away, I was his substitute. And so with that, it kind of like this journey took me into this place where like suddenly I'm teaching music on my own. And I was able to try to create an atmosphere of what I always felt like he made for me, which was beyond just like, here's a scale, why don't you play this scale? And it was just like trying to be able to open the door to all things kind of adjacent to just what guitar can be. So it's learning music, learning how to be in a band, learn how to record. So that's how I ended up with all this stuff. Because
there's a lot of stuff.
There's a ton of stuff. So like what it ended up doing is like I basically went down this path of like trying to create a space that allowed a cooler and more unique experience for learning music, whether it's through guitar. I usually do like all the strings, guitars and bass, but also like being able to get like hands-on recording stuff, or like if a kid just saw School of Rock and wants to play an AC/DC song through a loud Marshall amp, I have that set up over there for him.
That's awesome.
So, trying to create like a kind of a cooler atmosphere in that regard.
Right. So how young were you when you got into music? Was it grade school?
Middle school.
Middle
I
school.
think I was 13.
Okay. Did you live around here?
Yep. I moved here in 1992 and born and raised Grayslake beyond that.
Wow. Okay. So who was your first music teacher?
The main guy is a guy named Ben Ginapantha.
Okay.
And
was it a school thing or was it an outside thing?
It was outside. So it was just private lessons, and he was a young guy, but he was absolutely incredible at guitar.
Wow. So your parents obviously were full force. They wanted you to that they supported you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was
So was
real
it
lucky.
guitar that you originally
Yep.
wanted to learn?
Yep. Yep.
And how old though? So grade school or middle school?
Yeah, middle school. So like, I was about 13. Like I wanted to play music. I distinctly remember wanting to play earlier than that, but I think prior to that, my track record of hobbies was not great. It would be any one thing
Right.
really hard for like 6 days, and then I was out.
Wow.
So
Sounds like me as an adult.
yeah, me too. Still, but guitar fortunately stuck. I was real lucky in that regard.
Nice. Okay, so why guitar? Did you have like an influence or something that you were like, oh my gosh, I love this? Or
as a kid, I really loved Van Halen.
of course.
And as an adult, I really love Van Halen. But MTV 1994, Green Day, Weezer, Soundgarden, Beastie Boys, all of these bands that were like, they all had like really big music videos that summer, and I was just like, oh God, this just seems like the coolest thing ever. So after about a year of really trying, and saving up my paper route money, kind of convinced the parents like, hey, this is it. I think this is it. So
right.
I
And
was real lucky.
Isn't it an expensive hobby?
You can kind of dictate how expensive it gets.
Right.
It's
I mean, anything people do these days is expensive, whether they play baseball and they're in baseball lessons when they're 11 and it's $75 for whatever. But I mean, music lessons and actually the instrument wise.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a entry level guitar pack, like an electric guitar pack for like $300 and an acoustic guitar pack like around $200, and that you could take that as far as you want.
Right.
But it can get pretty expensive pretty quick.
I bet. Okay, so you start taking lessons in middle school.
Yep.
And then obviously your hobby, it sounds like more of a passion.
Yeah.
That we're still sitting here today.
For sure.
like this. So how does that progress as you get to high school and things?
Yeah. So I was pretty nerdy about it. Like when I was 15, I got a job at a local guitar store, and scrubbing toilets and tuning guitars, and slowly but surely that allowed me to be able to like practice music at home, but then I'd go to work and there's still more music, and I'm surrounded by these, especially older guys who are really good at their instrument, and I wanted to keep up. So like I was constantly working. So
wow.
In high school, there'd be like, I would say it's like, a friend would be like, hey, my older brother got beer if you want to come over. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, I got to play these scales. I got to, they're not going to play themselves. And so I was a total millhouse, and I would just kind of like sit at home and work on that stuff. In my junior year, I joined a cover band at school, and we played at school. And
yeah, I was just going to ask you about like the first time you got to perform live. Like,
yep, that was at Grayslake High School.
Really?
Yep, and I was a statue. I was terrified, but it was fun, and like that was kind of it. It's like, okay, check the box. I think I can do this.
Because you got to do it once.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then after that, it was just kind of.
What was the name of the band? Do you remember? Did you guys have a name?
Oh yeah, Chain Reaction, but not spelled with a regular chain. It was CHANE because it had to be different.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, it was like Aerosmith and Stone Temple Pilots covers and things like that. No original music.
So nothing happened with Chain Reaction.
Oh God, no. Like those guys.
Besides high school.
Yeah, no. They're like still like the coolest dudes. And then they all graduated, and I went back to my bedroom and played some scales, and that was it.
Wow. So what did you do after high school? Did you go away to college? Did you stay around?
I went to CLC for a little bit. Real option paralysis. I really wanted to be a rock star if possible, and that wasn't like immediately available to me.
Right.
So like. I was real fortunate. I ended up joining one of my favorite kind of localish bands, and they were all older than me. And there was this band called Overtone. They used to play with Whole Shot.
Yeah, with Brian Boma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the that was kind of like instead of going off to college and like living in that world, that's what I did. So like I'd go to CLC, take all my classes, and then go right to band practice, and we'd rehearse, and then we played all over. Really all over the country.
Really?
Yeah, and it was, those were essentially my college years.
How fun!
It was great. I had an absolute blast, and I really thought I'm sure most bands feel like they had a good shot, but like we were total pros, and sometimes it's just how you play the hand you're dealt, and that wasn't in the cards for us.
Wow. And so did you guys release albums as well?
Yeah. But this would have been like early 2000s.
Okay.
So I feel like we kind of missed the boat of having like social media or YouTube.
Oh
or
man,
anything
what a
like
difference that could make.
Oh yeah. So like I was just telling a student the other day, when I had to promote, if we had like a big show, we used to play the Metro in Chicago every once in a while, and like to promote that show, I was downtown,
Flyers.
like, well, not just flyers, CDs. Like if you want someone to hear your music, it's like we'd buy these spindles for like thousands of dollars, and I'd just be giving them out, and it's just like
Right.
now it's just like check out on Spotify or YouTube, or it's just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah. Now you just send somebody a link
Yeah,
and they can listen.
I hope they listen to the podcast that way.
Right. Exactly.
You're not out on Center Street handing out CDs of other podcasts.
Right. Well, what if we had to do a podcast, but we didn't have social media?
Oh God.
It would never happen.
Yeah, no chance. I mean, it's talk radio, right?
Right. And who would think that podcasts would be so popular?
Oh God.
When who listened to talk radio? Old people, right?
For sure.
AM radio.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Until then, from Stern to
Yeah.
Man Cow and everybody like that.
I'm a sports radio guy. Every morning
Sports radio.
Yeah. I hear enough music all day, every day. Give me some sports radio.
It's funny because after DJing for so long, like people say, well, what do you listen to in the car? It's like on the way home from a gig, I didn't listen to music.
Sure.
It was just quiet. Finally, just to have that break.
Me too. Me too.
Okay, so you how does the band that you're in and you're touring and did you have songs that were on the radio? Did you ever get to that far to have anything on?
I mean, I think we had like a couple, like when 95 Will Rock would do like local things, but
Right.
or Q101, they used to have like occasional like local showcase things, but yeah, nothing serious. We a couple CDs. Like in the grand scheme of things, I don't think we were too different than any other bands in that regard.
Well, it is probably one of the most challenging careers to try to get into to make it.
Sure.
Because I don't think people like halfway make it. You don't make it a little bit.
Yeah.
You either have to be all in.
Yeah, I mean, it was a grind.
We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano, and Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people. When are you teaching kids music or anything at that point? Or
at that point, especially towards the end of the band, I was doing I was teaching locally, and I was commuting to Chicago I was going to Columbia College to finish my degree, and then the band, nights and weekends whenever we could, until that kind of a lot of bands that just run their course unless you're the Rolling Stones.
True. Do you have a favorite moment that you had touring, or like one show that you can really remember that your grandkids want to know about?
Oh man, well, I mean, they're
or we can't tell about.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of like golf. You remember the really really good shot or the really really bad one.
Sure.
So
let's hear about the good one.
Yeah, I mean, there's one moment that always sticks out. Like when I was in middle school and started learning guitar. One of my good friends, Dan Reams, he started learning guitar pretty much like almost to the day. And we would sit on the phone and we would talk to each other and try to explain what we were playing to each other at night, like when we were practicing. And then 15, 18 years later, both of our bands were booked to play at the Metro in Chicago. And we were sitting on the steps to like walk up to the stage with our guitars, and it was just like the same thing as like when we were kids, and like that to me is like that's
awesome.
Cool.
It all came together.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the dream and the Metro. Playing the Metro is a big deal.
Oh yeah, those were the best shows. That's my favorite place to see a show, favorite place to play a show.
Okay, worst one.
Oh, worst one. Smartphones, we had like this map to get to a show out in DeKalb that we were like someone booked for us. It took us like 4 hours to get there.
To get to DeKalb.
Yeah, because someone gave us this route of going the back way, and it took us forever. We finally get there, and like it's an acoustic night, but no one told us. We are a full loud rock band with all of the loudest stuff. So we get on stage and we start playing, and the owner comes over. He's like, "Not tonight, guys. I'll give you $200 to stop playing." And it's like, oh, okay. So we pack up, and we had a rule of like if it's like after midnight and you see a burrito place that's open, you got to go.
Of course.
So we We see one, we pull over, we hit like a pothole, we get in there. That pothole blew out our tire.
Oh my God.
And we tried to like fix a flat it, and we drove home from DeKalb at like 20 miles an hour after playing one song. And it's like, oh my God. It was.
But it's funny that you can look back at those things and
yeah.
like one of your biggest memories
Yeah.
it could be like looked as an epic fail, but it's a great story.
I love it. I I look back at it and laugh because it's just like that sums up being in a band. That happens way more often than like a Metro show.
And the fact that you can keep going after that and
Oh,
not
yeah.
being like, oh shit, that was terrible. I'm
Yeah.
never doing that again.
Oh no, I mean like that wasn't the final nail in the coffin, but that was near the end, right? That you could hear the nails in the bag. It was rough.
That's great though. Okay, so for being from Grayslake basically your entire life, your name first came up to me through lovely Joyce Campbell.
Of course, the best.
So I called Joyce and I'm like, Joyce, the Oasis being tore down, like I gotta hear the story from you. And she's like, you don't want to hear anything from me. Call Greg.
Oh gosh.
Greg will tell you the real story, and he's gonna be a lot more entertaining than I will.
I don't know. Her episode was wonderful.
Yeah, you know what? I listen back to it just to make like it's inspirational.
Sure,
and
that's her in a
and
nutshell.
she makes you want to be a better person.
She absolutely.
It's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Like even to this day, just thinking about it, like
Yeah.
we need more Joyce Campbells in the world.
Firmly agree.
So tell me, how do you meet Joyce?
She was my car insurance agent.
Really?
Yep. So like I went in to maybe pay a bill.
Mhm.
And she, like right at that time, there weren't any local places where kids could play music.
Mhm.
Like they were all kind of, it's not a real profitable venture. And she's like, hey, what do you think about, a teen center where kids could play music? I'm like, sounds great. She's like, okay, you're in.
And how do you say no to Joyce?
Yeah.
You don't even question it, right?
Yeah, that was like the first of a million times I was unable to say no to Joyce. But basically at that point, it was just an idea. So this was maybe 2003, 2004,
Oh wow.
give or take. So she had just started the nonprofit arm of what eventually became the Oasis because she'd, initially asked the village for a space, and I think it's a reasonable request of the village to say, hey, show us you're serious,
Right.
So that's what she did. She developed this whole fundraising arm that, like she said, like fashion shows, car shows, all of these things to help raise the money to make sure that nothing that what would become the Oasis would ever be like a part of a taxable
Right.
piece of, for any Grayslake homeowners. So we spent, the first 5, no, I guess it would have been the first 4 years raising money. And after that, it was, we received the actual building, the former
Right.
police department, former park district building.
And now parking lot.
Yep. I mean, honestly, like all we did was just kind of the stay of execution for a decade. Because, I think that was the initial plan.
Right. So what did she want your role to be initially? Obviously, she knows you did music, and that was very important to her. Why you? Why did she ask you? It must have been a complete honor.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, at the time, I didn't even really know her. It was just like I was someone that she knew did music in some capacity. And
That's so cool.
yeah, but like she didn't realize like that was right in my wheelhouse. Like that is exactly what I feel like I have a particular set of skills for that kind of world.
Right.
So it worked out great.
That's cool. So as you do that, were you helping getting bands in there or help getting like equipment in there for kids to play?
Yeah. So the initially, like sitting down with, builders, electricians, like the Montoris.
Oh yeah.
And like, kind of like saying, okay, here's the stage plan. The former or the bass player in my old band,
Mhm.
he is one of the best sound techs I've ever met. He now runs the CLC theater.
Okay.
And he used to do like massive, like the Blackhawks rallies in Grant Park. I mean, he's the guy. So, he was the one who essentially kind of like said, okay, here's what we're going to need. And I started shopping for a PA system, and we had enough money to do something cool with that. Fortunately, from all of our fundraising, and then Joyce was able to get a grant, basically right when we opened. That was like, without that, I don't know that would have continued.
She's like magic.
She is absolutely just absolute magic.
The way she makes things come,
Yeah.
and just putting faith in you, but like hardly knowing you. And
Yeah,
to see how things go together.
yeah. It was a good fit.
Yeah.
Like she was right. Like she knew. She always knows. So funny story. The PA system we ended up getting. There was a venue in Southern Illinois that had opened, and they spent all of their money to get. I don't even remember who the act was. I feel like it was like a not the Bon Jovi band, but John Bon Jovi solo.
All right.
And they spent all their money on that event, and it was a huge failure. And they sold everything the next week, and so we essentially bought out their PA system and everything. It was like a turnkey. They brought it in, loaded it up, and it was good to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it worked out great for us.
Right.
And for the most part, it worked mostly, for the decade plus that the Oasis was open.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you're there from the inception of everything. So you got to see it like grow.
Absolutely.
And things. What are some of your favorite things that you saw there?
Oh, geez. I mean, like
it's
truly,
hard.
truly everything. It was. I feel very fortunate to have that have been included in the team that helped run that place.
Because I think a lot of people knew about the Oasis, and even after hearing Joyce talk about it, a lot of people just knew that it was a building, a youth center. But
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people that are like, I have no idea what went on in there.
Oh man, yeah. So like very loosely, like the concept was it was a safe space for kids aged 12 to 18. But at the same time, like if there were people who needed it, it was available to them. Beyond that.
Yeah. So
early on, especially in this would have been like 2008 was when we opened the doors. There was like a very budding music scene of a lot of like young local bands. Mm-hmm. So we would have shows like either every Friday, Saturday, or at least one weekend day, and that was a thing that we were able to kind of cultivate for a long time. And over the years, you start to see that like local musicians and bands kind of go in waves in terms of like either kids go off to college or, especially now, like there's less of a drive to perform out when you can just put it on social media, TikTok,
it's kind
Instagram.
Of how it's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
For sure. So, in terms of like some of my favorite things there, like just seeing like young local bands be able to perform there, being able to have like a place that if a band was out on the road touring, that it was just a safe spot that they can perform at, that isn't just like a dirty bar.
Right.
It's a nice change of pace. In that regard.
I bet, because even when you're going to rehearse or even having your first shot at doing things, if town didn't have something like that, what are they going to do? Try to get it, like you said, like a bar gig?
Yeah, for sure. And like, for me, I was when I joined like a real, functioning band, I was 18 and I couldn't get into half of our gigs without sneaking in. And like what I was saying the other day, where as a kid, I would ride my bike. I grew up in the manor.
Uh-huh.
I would ride my bike into Grayslake and see whoever was playing Last Chance, and I would just grab their gear and like hide behind it and load in,
right.
And then just like find like a spot, hopefully.
If you could see him, he's like holding the guitar by the side of his head as he's walking in.
Yeah, so like like eventually Gary, the owner there, he'd find me, belt hook me out of there. Like, come on, kid, you're gonna get me shut down. But like I just wanted to be able to go see music, so like it was important to me to have that available for kids, so that way they didn't have to do that.
Right, but it was fun. It's a great story too.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. It was great.
So as the Oasis goes down, it's nice that, and I'm sure you feel very fortunate that you got to be a part of all of that.
Oh God, yeah, no, it was one of the amongst the best moments of my life for sure.
Yeah.
I was. I'm a big fan of the idea of archiving.
Yep.
So like, I mean, that's kind of what recording is we're cataloging all of these things for whatever purpose,
right?
Because it means something different to everybody. But if you go on the Oasis YouTube, I always tried to make sure to like archive all of our events. So like there's a ton of like band performances on there that look and sound really good. And then all of our fundraisers, which ultimately were as important as any of the things that we're doing day to day. We had so many cool ones. And that's probably one of my favorite memories is like our Santa event.
Yep.
That was
It was
one of my
huge.
absolute favorites.
It's funny because I can remember being in there, 10 times,
Mm-hmm.
For that. And that was like, you went to, I think the same thing as the tree lighting, right?
Yep,
You
always.
went to the tree lighting, you did that, and
Yeah.
then you walked down to the Oasis
Yep.
for
Yep.
that.
Yep. And that was like it's wonderful. It was a beautiful event, and leading up to it, it was pure chaos and stress. Afterwards, I was exhausted, and then like come September, October, it's like you finally get the energy. Like I could probably do it again, one more round. But like it's a lot of work to pull that one off.
How many years did you do that? Do you have any idea?
Basically, I think our first one was 2008,
Mhm.
and we did it all. Even in 2019 when we had closed, the village had asked us to do one more.
Oh.
So we did that last.
All the way up till 19.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it's funny because that must have taken a lot of time, a lot of energy to be a part of that, even without the Santa stuff, just running it on weekends and everything
Oh, yeah.
else. And then you like have a job, that you have to do also.
But I mean, that was how it worked. Like we were all a team of volunteers,
Right.
So I think everyone involved, like Joyce obviously at the top, and then myself and Mike Pruitt and Ryan Curtis.
Yeah.
And then really everyone who worked at Joyce's State Farm office.
Boy, they didn't know what they're getting into
had
working with Joyce.
No idea. No idea.
You're going to get paid from this time, and then you're going to be swindled into the spirit of giving back to the community.
Yeah. The term that we always use was voluntold.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Great. So, I love talking to you because I was thinking about, last night the kids and I were out bowling,
Mm-hmm.
and they had some special needs kids in there, and all these volunteers that bring them in, and even just talking to you now, really, with a platform like this, I really encourage people to give back in some way, and I need to do it more.
Sure.
To volunteer, be voluntold. That
Yeah.
I think it's so important that it makes a great community like ours run. Because I'm
Absolutely.
sure we have tons of things in Grayslake that people can volunteer for just to make
Absolutely.
our town better.
Yeah.
So I tip my hat for you for the hard work you did to even change my life going there with the kids.
I'm glad you guys went. 'Cause
Yeah.
That was as a special event.
All right, and we have the tree lighting tomorrow night.
Yep.
Tomorrow night?
No,
Friday
Friday.
night.
Yep.
Friday. But when people are listening to this, it was last Friday night.
Yeah.
And boy, was that a great event.
Oh, it's the best
tree lit up.
Honestly, they outdid themselves.
Oh my gosh,
It's the biggest tree I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the best event I've seen this year
Yeah.
for Santa lighting. So after Oasis, we're sitting down here. So obviously your job
Mm-hmm.
is teaching music.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That's probably the most or the easiest way to say it. I mean, my business is Greg's Guitar Lessons.
Okay.
But like, run a recording studio, and so like I record a lot of music, or I will mix other bands' music if they record on their own, and then thanks to what we can do now, podcasts. I
Right.
do a lot of podcast work, edits, writing music, like theme music and things like that.
So how do people get a hold of you for that? If I didn't, I was looking and say, oh my gosh, I hate the quality of these podcasts that we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Being in the business, like how do people get a hold of you? Say, here's a podcast, I need it tweaked, edited, make it sound great, and get it back to me.
I mean, just like in the past, people have just reached out through the website, but for the most part, it's just all word of mouth.
And what is the website?
Greg'sGuitarLessons.com.
Wow, clever name.
Yeah.
Clever name.
Yeah.
Even though that's not even exactly everything you do.
Yeah. Well, when I started this, I knew that I'd always wanted to like get into the world of recording, and like I had like a little cassette recorder that I'd recorded with at home as a kid.
Love it.
But I'd never anticipated like this is a dream.
It's my dream sitting in here looking around going, holy cow.
Yeah, like I never thought in a million years that it would turn into this. So that's kind of like the umbrella brand at this point, but obviously it's way more. I mean, like I get hired now to do like filming for things.
Nice.
When bands perform, I've made like DVDs and things like that.
See, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty
So
wild.
when you do that too, can you do like you go to the show? Do you do the sound mixing at shows as well?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you do obviously live audio as well.
Yeah, I can. I'd rather not. That's
That's a lot.
I feel old. Like rock and roll doesn't happen in the hours I want to keep anymore.
Right.
You know, so like I've got some friends who and they're getting out at like 3, 4 in the morning from doing live sound, and it's just like, oh my gosh, no chance.
Yeah, it is a tough gig.
Yeah.
Wow. But it's fun though.
It's the best.
Yeah.
When you're awake for it.
True. And we were just talking about how we're getting older that you wake up at the same time every morning.
Yep.
No matter
much.
what.
Yep. Pretty
Yes.
much.
Now, do you have kids too?
Nope.
No kids.
Nope.
Well, you don't need to get up that early. What are you getting up for?
You don't get into the world of music like as a career to be able like just to wake up early. You know, I should be sleeping until noon.
You should be the opposite.
Yeah,
you should go to bed at 3 and you could wake up at noon if you wanted.
If I wanted, but my body doesn't want that.
Right. And not today too, because today's your wife's birthday as well.
It is.
Wow. And you're taking the time with me. Are you gonna get in trouble for this?
She's out. She volunteers for Save a Pet, the local pet shelter. So she's out there on her day off.
That's awesome. We should do a podcast with Save a Pet.
Absolutely.
Wow. See, we have all these things to do every time.
And there's a volunteer opportunity.
See, there you go. Not for me, but anybody out there.
Yeah.
That's looking. What a great thing that is too.
Yeah.
So when people come in for lessons, they obviously come here.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. Like I would have thought that COVID would have ended this whole world of mine, but it ended up showing people that they could do virtual or remote lessons, you know, with Zoom or Skype or whatever. So now I used to have about 80 weekly students of people who would come in for lessons. And now it's split between people who come in and people who are remote or virtual.
Did you say 80?
Mm-hmm.
80 a week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah, it's a full-time gig.
Nice work.
And I have a pretty sizable waiting list, sadly.
Wow.
I wish I had more time in the day.
How does someone bribe you to get in early?
It's just time, you know. I wish I had more time for it.
So do you just teach guitar? I see you have a big drum set out here as well.
Oh, I can record drums, but I can't teach.
Yeah, because so as you walk down the stairs here in the studio, we walk down and there's a bunch of amplifiers and then there's a really nice drum set. So that's something you help people with if they wanted to lay down a drum track.
Yeah.
With your stuff.
Yeah, it makes life easier for all musicians if they don't have to necessarily bring all their stuff. In reality too, like, for the times that I rehearse with people, it's nice just to have all the stuff here and just set up and ready to go. So that way, like, there's no packing, there's no traveling for me.
Right.
Everyone else, you're on your own. But at the very least, you can invite people over and just be like, hey, yeah, sit down. We're good to go.
Right. So they can just walk in, and I'm sure time-wise for you too, because time is money, and especially they can do it, and then you have a lot more control over the sound and how the recording comes out too.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. Anybody that you've given lessons to that have become famous, semi-famous?
No, unfortunately.
Nice work, Craig.
Yeah,
nice work.
I wish it was that easy.
I was expecting this grand story there, by the way.
Yeah. If you heard of Eddie Van Halen,
yeah.
He's a little older than me, but I showed him a few things.
But it's cool because I'm sure you get to see people around town that, you know, because obviously how our world is right now, you know, people that are into music and learning the guitar, it must be really cool for you to, like, see them and see how they progress.
Oh, I mean, it is just probably the best part of all of this. So, like, this summer in Grayslake, there was the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah.
And I went because I had a student performing. And then we walked down to the other stage. There's 2 stages on each side. So we'll walk down, and there was another student performing that I hadn't seen him in years. He's an old student, but now he's performing. And we walked back down to the other side, and there were more students performing. And I just like, this is wonderful. Like, this is
awesome.
The whole reason you do it.
Right. And just to see where they go with it too.
Sure, absolutely.
And I'm sure like the twinkle in their eye when they first come down, you know, I'm sure you get people that this first time they touched a guitar too, right?
Oh yeah. That's probably more the norm.
Right.
So, you know, it's fun to be able to like kind of like cultivate their love of music, and you know, that making sure that it is never like a chore. Always try to like keep it fun and light.
Right, and I'm sure that practicing stuff like anything, learning any craft, learning any skill, it's tedious. And
It can be. I try to make it as soft of a landing as possible.
Very well put.
Yeah, but you know, you still got to grind it.
Right.
Which sucks.
And teach him more than Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's funny that you mentioned School of Rock too, because it's one of my favorite movies.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And just what a great, fun movie to inspire kids to love music.
It's perfect. It like front to back, it's absolutely perfect.
Wow. I'm thinking I'm gonna watch that with the kids tonight.
That's great. It's great.
It is. But then I'm gonna have to buy a guitar for Christmas for somebody.
Sure. Well.
And then I gotta buy lessons from you, but the waiting list.
Yeah. You know what? I know a guy. We'll get you in.
We'll get it through. I may or may not put this podcast out until I get the guitar and ready for him.
Sounds good.
So some of the moments where your love of music and seeing how it comes through, it also associates with some of the people you hang around with too. Mm-hmm. Because at the whiskey tasting, I'm hanging out with Nick.
Yeah, and that was a super small world moment. Like we ended up having a mutual friend, but he was looking to buy some.
Nick from Andy's Records, by the way.
He was looking to buy some acoustic panels for his studio, and he came over here just off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and we started talking, and like it was kind of like a step brothers. Like we just
you guys are like
friends.
Meant to be together.
You have no idea. We are more alike than pretty much anyone I've ever met. So we became real fast friends, and
that's awesome. How long have you known him?
Oh gosh, since March.
Oh, just since March.
Yeah, I mean that it was just a total random.
That's so cool. Thing. And I love what he's doing in town too.
Yeah.
So now he's moving locations or something, but I think that we're not allowed to talk completely about that, are we?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So yes, so we can look out to a future episode to find out the rest of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we talked about that. If I would have got a couple more whiskeys in him, I think I could have probably found out all the dirt.
Sure.
Not the dirt. It's
all good things.
The secrets. Good.
All good things.
Good. And I would love to see, because I think it's something that our town really needs, because a lot of times we ask people like, what other things do what kind of businesses do our towns need, or things like that. But he's really brought something to the community that's great.
Yeah, I agree.
And he is just a wonderful
the whole family, he travels a lot for work, so like you can hop into the record store and the wife and kids are there run the shop, and it's adorable.
I went in there last time. His in-laws were running it.
I think I might have seen you in there.
Were you there that day?
Yeah, it's like Grayslake days ish.
I
was
think
heading
right
out.
after.
We might
ships. Because I love it.
In the night.
It's fun. It's fun to see. And actually, I sat down with them, and I didn't want to be like too whatever. But I'm like, finally introduced myself to them, and they're like, I asked them if they listened to the podcast, so they didn't know how to get the podcast on there. It's funny that they're at a record store, so I helped them like hook it up so they can listen to it. So when I was leaving, it was fun to hear them, watch them smiling.
That's awesome.
They got to be super, super proud.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just because of all the wonderful things that he's doing there.
Yeah. A real community-minded family.
Yeah. And to see families work together like that is great. All right, so we're going to pause right here because and you've listened to some podcasts. So this section is brought to us by our friends at I was going to say Chris Schoenberger at Barbecue Productions, which I have some real fun stuff about Chris that I want to share too. That if anybody has not seen the video out there, is Station 51, that Chris is actually going to be on a TV show because he converted a fire truck, and it's going to be on some TV show where they're ripping it apart. And so if you haven't checked that out, go to Station 51's Facebook and see the thing coming out there, because it's going to be a really cool episode on TV. And Chris, you're a total dork. I love you to death, but we'll see you on there. So this is brought to you by Barbecue Productions. So Greg, when you're ready, are you good to go?
Yeah.
All right. So if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh man, flight.
Nice. A place that you'd like to travel that you haven't been?
Seattle.
Interesting. Well, your music too,
Yeah.
Okay. What was your favorite TV show growing up?
The Simpsons.
Nice. Sure. Funniest person that you know?
My friend Andrew Wolf. he's like my personal Big Lebowski, and he just levels me. I just love him.
Well, never heard that. I'm going to use that, by the way.
Oh, it's so good.
What was your first car?
1979 Chevy Malibu Classic.
Beautiful.
No, well, very
I think
not beautiful at all.
that in the 79 probably wasn't the Malibu.
It was
that
my
we
great
wanted.
grandma's.
Oh, see, it's funny. My first car was my grandmother's car she
There
gave
you
me, and it was not beautiful at all.
Yeah.
Hey, but we had a car.
Yep, that was it.
That's all that matters. Do you have a hidden talent?
I don't think so. I can whistle okay, and I have pretty good memory.
Okay, those are good things because you remember how to whistle.
Yeah.
That's good. If you had to have a podcast, what would the subject matter be?
Guitar lessons, and that's a plan for 2024.
Awesome.
Like guitar playing and talking to cool guitar players about their learning process.
That would be awesome. I would listen to that, even though I know nothing about playing a guitar. If you weren't doing this and you're forced to take a job in another field, what would it be outside of music?
I like either education,
Mm-hmm.
or I feel like I'm cut out for like the 9-to-5 business world.
That you're not cut out for?
No,
it?
I am.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I could absolutely do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that out of you.
Yeah. Me neither. This is kind of like a
Wow.
recent realization over the last few years.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Would the 12-year-old version of yourself think you're cool?
Yeah, I think so.
Good. Do you have a nickname?
No, not really. Nothing.
No?
Yeah.
See, a guy like you, I think, would have a nickname.
Yeah. No, my parents called me Greggles, but that's
Okay.
That's not really a nickname that anyone should use. I'm gonna edit that out of this just in case.
Just the power of
Yeah,
that.
just in case.
What do you wish you'd learned sooner in life?
Oh gosh. Not to sweat the small stuff. And that's still something I try to.
It's a daily reminder that
Yeah.
we shouldn't be worried about stuff like that.
Yeah.
But another good one especially for younger people. Not that we have anybody younger listeners on here.
You never know.
True. Well, maybe they should
Yeah,
learn.
maybe this one. Maybe this is the episode.
It's going to change their life.
Yeah.
If you're an animal, what would you be?
Oh man, golden retriever.
Okay. And speaking of dogs, what is the name of your first pet?
Buster, the Springer Spaniel.
And the name of the road that you grew up on?
Flanders Lane.
So your porn name is Buster Flanders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure. So that will be the name of the episode.
Okay.
Is double dipping ever acceptable at a party?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
Especially like post-COVID. You kidding?
I just think it's fun. I like to take chances.
Oh,
You know,
sure.
I double dip every time I possibly can. So don't go to a party.
Yeah,
night.
just
What do you
dip
think
your
I
whole
did with
hand in
those?
there.
Right. We were sharing the same whiskey glass at the whiskey tasting.
That's where it went. That explains
Have
that.
you ever ate a roller dog from a gas station or any other roller food?
Yes.
What was it? What, your favorite? Got a favorite one?
No, it was like those aren't meals of that's like a meal of necessity. It is just like
On a
this
road
is-
trip or
yeah,
something,
this
right?
is it. Yeah, I was in a band. We play all over the place, and you just sometimes you need a roller dog.
That's not a bad name for a band either.
Roller
dog.
Roller dog.
I'm not sure what kind of band that would actually be, but it'd be fun. What's your middle name?
Eric.
All right. If you had to have a theme party at your house, what would it be?
Theme party?
Yeah.
Dress up as it's going to be a karaoke party,
All right.
and you're going to dress up as different people from music videos.
Nice.
So like
Can I
maybe
be invited?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
So like
good.
you and me will go as like the Beastie Boys from Sabotage. We'll like
I'm
and
down.
then, and then we'll karaoke Sabotage.
I am down. I'm glad you chose that video and not another one, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's not going to be like a virgin or something for me. From 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
Pretty good. I'm gonna go 8.
Wow. Very nice. Did you play a sport or anything in high school?
No, not really.
Part of a club or anything in high school?
I did jazz band and I ran sound for the drama club.
See? I felt bad when I wrote that one, going playing a sport. It's like, not everybody plays sports, Dave.
No, I actually have reconnected with the high school coach from Grayslake High School when I was there, and that was a real impactful moment for me of realize I joined the football camp,
Okay.
and as a kid I kind of looked like Danny DeVito, And so I was like, I was a freshman, and he asked me, he's like, well, what's your goal? What do you want to do here?
Right.
And I'm like, well, I always loved Tom Waddle. I'd like to be a wide receiver if possible. I was probably the shortest, roundest kid there. And he's like, here, look, everyone gets a chance, and it's important.
Nice.
So he's like, I just want you to line up with one of my receivers where I'm just going to throw a pass to you guys. And, he blew the whistle, and I looked up, and the dude was already like 20 yards down. And I'm like, oh, I should be running? He's like, Greg, maybe receiver's not for you. And that's how I knew I was a musician.
Oh, but he gave you the chance.
Yep. But he's actually in local bands now. He's a drummer in like local cover bands, which is awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What a great connection.
Yep.
From 1 to 10, 10 being the most likeliest, what's the chance that Bigfoot exists?
Probably 10. There was just that footage that went viral a couple weeks ago. So that's all I need.
Okay.
No one can doctor up anything on the internet, so that had to be real.
I mean, how would they manipulate video in 2023?
That seems impossible.
Yes, crazy. Your favorite Grayslake event, except for the tree lighting, because you're not allowed to say it.
So like, that Battle of Bands this summer I thought was wonderful. Like that's kind of in my wheelhouse, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, that one should have been obvious to me. If me and you were going to go grab a drink and watch a sporting event in Grayslake, where would we go to watch it?
Well, the new Vine patio to watch the Bears lose.
Yeah. Have they lost this year?
Like
yes. In the last minute or so?
Yeah. What time is it?
Exactly.
They're probably losing.
I do like the post that Pruitt put out about how Bears fans are just going to be drunk for the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's realistic.
Yeah.
If you have listened to a podcast episode of mine,
Mm-hmm.
Which one has been your favorite?
It's Joyce.
Okay.
She's just the best person on earth. So.
Well, that's a slight compliment for someone.
No. If you know her, I mean, and if you know anyone who knows her, I'm sure they all say the same.
Hard to disagree with that. When you eat tacos, do you tilt your head to the right or the left?
I'm left-handed.
He did it.
I got to go to the right in order to.
All right. I think you're the first right-leaning taco eater. See the important stuff we cover on this podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very valuable information.
This is the stuff this is what life is.
Makes
right?
the world go round. If you brought a famous person or somebody that's never been to Grayslake, where would you take them in Grayslake, and why would you take them there?
Probably Fred's.
Yeah.
Probably go to Fred's for a burger or breakfast, just because like that. It's one of the few places that when you walk in, it's everyone there. They all kind of know each other. Everyone treats each other like they're old friends, and due to the tight quarters, everyone interacts. So it'd be different than like going to like Light the Lamp or the Vine, because that's still like it's more individual little islands of people.
Right, and in those places too, that you kind of expect to see different people there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that Fred's has a very loyal following.
Sure.
And I walk in there not very often, and people all look and turn their head.
Absolutely.
But I always see somebody I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do get yelled at, and at the end of every time I do put my credit card out to pay, just
Yep.
to be an asshole, because I know that they only take cash.
Yep.
And I just dead face, like serious.
Absolutely.
So, which I recommend everybody does, just
Yeah.
to mess back with them, since
Yeah.
you get messed with so bad.
For sure.
There's another thing to take out of here today. Favorite childhood book?
Oh man, really, honestly, all the Roald Dahl books. That was my jam when I was a kid. So what.
Nice.
James and the Giant Peach. We'll use that one.
Right. Awesome. Favorite late night snack?
Oh man, fried chips and salsa.
Nice. And we'll end with this one because we were just talking about this just a little bit. What kind of business do you think Grayslake needs that we don't have? Is there something you could think of, or you'd like to see here?
Well, something that would allow young musicians to perform easily. And I think that that's kind of in the works.
Mm-hmm.
In both with what may or may not be happening with Andy's records in the future, or
Nice.
I know that Mike at the Vine is trying to do something real similar. We've got one coming up on December 4th, where young local musicians could come perform, like kind of like an acoustic open mic, and so just anything that could offer that backup.
Right.
The Oasis was never going to be sustainable just because it was nonprofit and we had to raise all the money on our own. So if there was something that could be profitable, however it exists, like a restaurant or whatever, but also gave an avenue for kids to be able to perform.
Right.
That would be it.
And I would encourage those guys, especially all the guys, and Pruitt's behind everything, and Stan's behind everything, and always open to new ideas. But I encourage all our local business owners to be more open to that, to give these kids a chance. That,
oh, sure,
man, just one time, and you know that better, that one time performing in front of people could be like their life's dream, and they can carry that with them.
Absolutely.
Forever.
Absolutely. I know that Jess at Center Cut is doing that too. They're having some young artists perform. She had one of my students, like a group of students, perform there a couple different times, and like they loved it and seemed to go really well. So I love that.
Yeah, because when as adults go out, it's nice to go to a place that has live music.
Sure. Absolutely.
I walked by Abel's the other night, and Abel's had a band playing in there, and it's like, okay, well, let's get more of that going in town, right?
I love it. And, because like I said, when I was a kid, that's what I was looking for.
Right.
So maybe there's another kid riding his bike in town to sneak into Abel's.
And there, yes, another one of my favorite parts that we said out loud today too. But the story of you when you were telling me the other night with the guitar on your shoulder, sneaking in, it's just so great because it shows your love of music and your passion. You'd do anything to get in there.
For sure, I would go see Mustang Sally every weekend. That's because that's what was available.
Right. It's just funny how our town has changed when you think about when you say the Last Chance. Like there's still people here that don't even know what the Last Chance was.
Yeah, sure.
It was it was iconic, and to see that go was a big deal.
For sure.
Changed the whole face of the downtown.
Yeah. That's where we had our my graduating class 10-year reunion.
In the basement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of took over the whole place.
Right.
Yeah.
But thinking about that place, like that was cool. Just in the back room and
sure.
Yeah. Really, really cool. I got in trouble there almost every night because I was one of the last ones out. We'd get done DJing gigs and we'd all go there, and I think Gary Jr. was always the one kicking us out.
Yeah.
Did not have any issues at all with that happening. Just so everybody else for the record.
He didn't like me. Because I mean, I get it. I
wouldn't have liked me if I owned a bar and trying to kick me out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't blame him. I couldn't imagine dealing with that on a.
No, especially at the end of the night, trying to get people out.
Yeah, you just want to go home. 2 a.m.
Right. They didn't understand it was just all about us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's unfortunate that all these people, when they're running their shops, they don't realize this is our world.
It's our world. Yeah, they're just living in it.
Yeah.
Another reason.
It's just one more beer. Why not, Gary?
One more beer. Actually, for some of the bar tabs I had rung up there, they probably should have let me sleep over.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Understood.
Probably. And we were minding our own business, of course,
Oh, sure.
Okay, so thank you to Barbecue Productions for hosting that. We appreciate your support, Chris, big time. All right, so what's going to happen now? So how old are you?
41.
You're 41. Your business is thriving.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any really big goals or big projects ahead that you see? Obviously, we're always happy where we're at.
Sure.
But do you have some real big goal that you'd like to accomplish?
Yeah. I've started making a video series. Like I said, I can only have so many students during a week, so I have a pretty large waiting list for people who want to be able to hop in. And so what I want to be able to do is give them some content that's available to kind of get the ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially, if someone's starting from scratch, the first couple months of lessons are going to be real similar.
Right.
And so just kind of trying to get was essentially a Patreon, if you ever used Patreon.
Of course.
Get that going with, I've filmed a couple hundred lessons so far.
Really?
And it's going to make that available to anyone on the waiting list who wants to get rolling, before they can get in here.
It brings up a thing for me because I've had to, over all these weird things that I do, I was involved in making a master's class of, this other content. But it's funny when you get on like a Samcart or whatever where they make these classes, the first template that always comes up is learning guitar.
Yeah, sure.
Because I mean, like what you're saying, I could see like, somebody can go through the lessons and progress through that, and that's
Yep.
something that sounds like you almost have the groundwork made for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's been quite the undertaking. So like filming and recording it all, and next up is going to be the editing.
Oh, that's so fun.
Oh yeah, everyone loves it.
That's
Editing.
Nothing better than especially editing your own content.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Where you look at it and go, oh my God, this is such a great idea.
Yeah.
Why the hell did I get into this?
Yeah. What's that on my face? What? I didn't know that was there.
Right. And looking back to say, I should have said these two sentences right
Yeah.
there. And then
Yeah.
you can't what do you do? Dub it back in with a slide or?
Yeah. For the most part, it should go smoothly. So,
Okay.
but,
So then who are you going to market that to, or who is that going to be available for?
really just anyone on the internet, and anyone who contacts me to try and take lessons in person if I don't have any time available for them. It's like, hey.
And you can get them started.
Yeah. And so it'll work. It should work pretty well. I have a kind of an unusual educational method, and I think that's probably why I seem to be popular, because it's a little different than what you might find elsewhere. So just trying to make that kind of process available.
That would be super fun too. What a great project. Yeah, and you'll have tons of time to work on that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking behind here too, which is really funny in his studio. He may be the only man that has as many hard drives or more hard drives than I actually have, which is fun to see.
Yeah, video and audio, it takes up a lot of space.
Oh my gosh.
And every year, this coming weekend is when I invest in the next one, Black Friday.
Really?
Hard drives are on sale, so I always grab a new one.
Remind me about that, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's fun. It's fun to watch all those lights go.
Yeah.
And anybody that's storing this much stuff on this many hard drives, please be organized.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of redundancy.
I'm so disorganized
Oh,
that I have
no, you can't
which
do
hard
that.
drive is this on?
Oh, I have them. They're backups for backups, and there's more in a closet, so they're offline just in case the house gets struck by lightning. Just.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so a couple more questions for you before we end. So, besides the class that you want to put out, is there anything else? Do you have any aspirations to ever perform live again or be in a band? Or?
Yes, I'd be open to it. But the big issue that I run into is that I'm doing music from like 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. every day. So like when I get out of work, Netflix seems great. It sounds awesome.
Brainless, just sit and watch.
Just I'll have dinner. But I also recognize that with a lot of my friends, they're not doing music 12 hours a day. So like they're working, and then when they get the opportunity to do it, it's like they're letting their hair down. They want to go hang out, and so it's like their night out with the boys, which is great.
Right.
But a lot of times I'm just kind of like spent. It ends up feeling like more work at a certain point. Being in a band is a lot of work.
Yeah.
So, having said that, like, I still, I love playing music with people. And
it's a connection like no other, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So my old touring band might be getting back together for a performance next year. We're all kind of back in the same area for the first time in 10 years. So we'll see.
That's awesome. And if you need directions to DeKalb or anything, I can hook you up.
If you could just write it on the back of a napkin.
Yes.
Because that's
exactly
how we got there the first time.
Reminds me of the directions in Christmas Vacation where they end up in St. Louis and they say, go this way.
Yep.
Okay, so I was looking at your Facebook earlier today, too.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, that you have a video on there. You have something that's getting ready for release.
Yeah, that's an old student of mine.
Okay.
So like, he took lessons when he was in high school. He went to Grayslake High School and
Becoming the Lion.
Yep. So he's put out a few records before, and he mostly does it all himself. And for this particular one, he let me put on like a full like record producer hat, and I got to tear apart his songs and, yell at him and say, do that better. And this is actually pretty good. And slowly but surely, we'd kind of crafted a handful of kind of hard rock type songs that I thought they're pretty good. So we hired one of my buddies who's like one of the greatest drummers I've ever met. And he came down here and recorded, and we just kind of built this record down here, just me and Ross, my old student, my buddy.
So does that make you're the producer?
Sure.
Yeah.
Producer. I played bass on the album just because it
Great.
was fun to do that, and then mixed it, and then Ross is kind of handling the rest. He's started, so he got that video done. He's doing all the promotional stuff.
Nice. So what we're gonna do? So that video is done with the first, and that's the first single off the album.
Yep.
If I remember correctly.
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna post that out there. So we're gonna
cool.
encourage everybody to make sure to go to our Facebook page wherever we're at, and we'll put a link to that so people can listen to it.
Yeah, it turned out pretty great.
Yeah. Is editing music and producing music like that, is it one of those things that I have a good friend who does the same thing, and it's one of those things that you have to decide when it's good enough. Otherwise, you can just go and go and go, and you'll never be done.
Yeah, for sure. So like the quote that usually gets tossed around is art isn't finished, it's abandoned, and writing music or recording it is absolutely like that.
Yeah.
So like it's very easy just to kind of be like, hey, you know what? This sounds pretty good, but like maybe can you turn up my vocals like 1 dB? It's like I can and I will, but it's not gonna make or break it in either direction.
Right. And who's gonna know except for you guys?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why we do it. Is it's really just for us. I mean, the reality is that like I think that the music that Ross Becoming Line has made here is pretty good, and I think that if it caught like the right jet stream, like it might have like some small success, like it's similar to other bands out there that are successful, but we're not. I can speak for Ross, but like we're not doing this to try and get success. It's like it's a release. It's where we are trying to have like it's fun. It's our golf. Instead of going out every week and golfing and spending money on that, this is what he does. Just it's a fun way of self-expression.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So I wish you the best. Well, success and you guys enjoying it. And then if it happens to get legs, then that's great.
Yeah, that's cool. But if it does, that's great. But if it doesn't, it's still cool.
Right.
Like it like getting it this far is the victory.
Well, I'm going to encourage everybody to go listen to it.
Well, thank you.
And give some feedback on it too. Only good feedback,
Yeah,
of course.
of course.
That's it. As we wrap up, is there anything else that we need to know about you? Any big projects you have coming up? Anything you bring to light to our town?
Yeah, there's really nothing.
I'm sure you have 1,000 things.
Yeah, I mean, like
on,
it's tough, but like there's nothing off the top of my head. It's just, especially this time of year, it's kind of like just get through the holidays and start it up.
Exactly. I always say, let's just get through Tuesday.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just what we have to do, and then we tackle the next project as it comes.
Yep, for sure.
Well, I wish you the best of the holiday season.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on this.
Oh, my gosh. It's a pleasure. And we're going to release this. And, folks, once again, as I always say, whether you're listening on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're at, hit the subscribe button so that you can get to know more about the people in our town. And as I always say, especially if you look at an episode and you don't know who this person is, I almost think you should listen to that before people that you may know, because let's get to know more people in our town. Let's build this community. And one more thing coming out of here, go volunteer some more, especially during the holidays.
Absolutely.
Volunteer just some little time.
Absolutely.
I'll lead the charge, and I'll write on there what I'm going to volunteer for.
Deal.
All right.
I'll be there with you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Greg.
Hey, thank you.
And thank you, Grayslake, for listening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.